Hello, everybody. Scott Golden here with the WCW Worldwide Review Series for the 11th of January 1992. We are into a new series. As you can obviously see, we've got over 1,300 audios available for your listening pleasure on a variety of old school and new school wrestling products. And we move to Flying Brian Pillman, opening the program in an enhancement talent match. Pillman, at this point, kind of still in the World Junior Heavyweight Championship mode of his career here. Uh, Leaps up onto the turnbuckle and hip tosses, drop kicks, and at this point, Ryan Pillman probably still in good condition for his career, but at the same time, still hasn't really found a place to belong. By the midpoint of 1992, he has done the World Junior Heavyweight deal. Beautiful drop kick off the top rope, by the way, in this particular match. Worth watching if you want to see how a Junior Heavyweight works a match with psychology versus what happens in modern day. And Pillman actually gets a seated abdominal stretch, among other things here. Um, the top rope drop kick, and then the kind of launching process here. A series of drop kicks. Pillman fires up pretty aggressively, hits some chops, and is very clear about his desire to be um, in control. Backdrop, and the enhancement talent takes the air Pillman launching um, springboard clothesline that his son is currently known for. That's that, and then we move to Paul Dangerously and Medusa, who Dangerously is certainly tired of the actions of Sting and the embarrassment caused by Marcus Bagwell here. Obviously, Sting has dual feuds going on. One getting ready for Lex Luger at Super Brawl 2, and also one getting ready for Rick Rude, which is a feud that carries him over the next several years. Larry the Cruncher Zbyszko, interesting name there. Terry Bronson in an enhancement talent match. Zbyszko, a member of the Dangerous Alliance at the point. Slams and basic moves. Zbyszko coming off the AWA in 91 really is, I guess you'd say, past his prime after the AWA run, but still has a few good years left. Um, Shoulder breaker, arm bars, and the like. Medusa out there with him as well. Medusa, the first lady of WCW, according to some. Missy Hyatt, according to others. A hanging suplex, almost brainbuster style, by Zbyszko here. And Zbyszko eventually does get a victory along the way there. Enhancement talent is all but crushed and sent to the emergency room with issues. Medusa gets up in the face of the cameraman and pushes back, tired of the fact that people have come to the aid of the enhancement talent and tired of having to be, for lack of a better term, security for the Dangerous Alliance. Jack Savage and Jim Boss in a tag team match. Odd pairing of Van Hammer and Big Josh. Big Josh, of course, less than a year and a half away from the Doink run. Van Hammer, a guy who they tried really hard with doing the heavy metal gimmick, but it never really worked out fully for them. Big Josh is a lumberjack character in the vein of Matt Bourne, who, now that the territories have been cut down, not as big a guy as he once was in terms of influence. Bourne hits a couple of punches. Van Hammer, who's their major push guy, comes in and gets an arm drag, arm bar. You don't really see that many of these two guys teamed up, so maybe it was just a TV taping sort of filler match. I hate the fact that wrestling does that. Anyway, Van Hammer does hit a good power slam along the way, which ultimately leads to the victory. A highlight film series with the World Wrestling Now, Brian Pillman defeating Jushin Thunder Liger. And certainly we are excited by that as Pillman and Liger go to Super Bowl 2. Gordon Soley, though, doing the World Wrestling Now gimmick, and Sting is annoyed at getting jumped out previous week by Dangerous Alliance. Sting wants Rude, Sting wants the whole alliance, and Paulie dangerously for his trouble. We then see Mr. Hughes coming out in full business suit attire. Hughes, I think, is a guy that they missed the boat on in WCW at the time. He may not have been the most athletic, but for his size, he was super athletic. And Rich Ryder and Larry Santo are the opponents of Hughes at this point. I did not know that they were kind of leading to. I don't know where they were leading with Hughes at this point, although he was the bodyguard for Lex Luger at the time through the Super Brawl 2 in about a month's time. I think he just had broken away from that role. Hughes with punches and kicks and really basic stuff. Nothing to necessarily write home about in terms of quality of match. However, Hughes hits the shoulder tackle and a modified choke slam, and for the time, Mr. Hughes, a super, super big guy, winning the match in the, I wouldn't say quickest fashion possible, but close to it. Arn Anderson and Steve Austin in a tag team match here, both representing the Dangerous Alliance. Austin still your television champion. Anderson, phenomenal, not a big surprise there. Arn Anderson still around in AEW, of course, as the tag team expert. And actually, this is a six-man tag team match as Dustin Rhodes, Ron Simmons, and Ricky Steamboat face Austin, Eaton, and Anderson. So, super match worth going out of your way to see. I love this era of WCW because the matches are phenomenal. Eaton and Steamboat are early start off, and Eaton with a beautiful swinging neckbreaker, proving that he still has a lot to offer here. In 92, Anderson comes in, goes heads up with Steamboat. They grapple around a little bit. Steamboat manages to get a little bit of a power advantage, but it doesn't last a terribly long time by any stretch of the imagination. Anderson gets pushed back a bit and doesn't really back down too much. We see bear hug by Simmons and a cutoff with Anderson and Eaton trying to double team Ron Simmons. Simmons comes out with a clothesline out of the corner and runs over just about everybody, taking out all three guys. I think Ron Simmons at this point still could have been treated better than he was. Cut off on Steve Austin for a little bit. At this point, Steve Austin probably less than 2 full years of experience, but you can see talent. My favorite version of Steve Austin is 91 through 95. I love the young Steve Austin stuff. I was never a Stone Cold fan, to be honest. Well, that's not entirely true. After he won the championship, WWF championship, I wasn't an Austin fan. I know most people were. That was never me. Anyway, Dustin Rhodes bouncing around Bobby Eaton hits the elbow, and the double shot in between the eyes. Rhodes sends Eaton backing up, and then Anderson switches out with Eaton. Match continues, and it's pretty aggressive for the while. Cut off, leading to a tag for Steve Austin. Austin takes the majority of the match, or at least a good bit of the match, for the heels because he's bouncing around and learning to work at the point. Definitely a match that if you have not seen this edition of Worldwide, worth going out of your way to see. Eaton comes back in and works over the arm of Dustin Rhodes. They actually go to the outside for a little bit, and Eaton sends Rhodes back in after working him over on the outside as well. We then see Anderson try to hit the Anderson Slam. Hot tag to Ron Simmons. Simmons comes in, hits the running shoulder tackle and a chop block, which actually the chop blocks don't look too good because the heels are already in the air before Anderson even hits them for the most part. Run in by the rest of the Dangerous Alliance, including Larry Zbyszko, causes the disqualification win. The Young Pistols are going to be here next week, and they are heels, but they're also U.S. Tag Team Champions. They basically say they're doing things the way they wanted to do them now, and ultimately They're happier because they are the U.S. Tag Team Champions. As a result of that decision, we'll be back with more right after this.